you get shot.
All right, it's Thursday. In our drive through the week, I said this is a play where the quarterback drops back. Nobody's open, recognizes its man, takes off.
Scramble drill,
but takes off, gets knocked out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. All right, getting ready for Friday, which is, hey, we're first and goal from the 3.
Okay.
All right, I think we should.
You can't score from there.
Here,
you can't score from there.
I wouldn't mind 4 bush pushes. I refuse to call it a tush push. But y'all found some crazy haunted house thing?
How did you hear about this, Blaine?
I saw it on Twitter.
You saw this on Twitter.
Yeah,
so I heard about
Barstool
this a couple years ago on this Netflix series called Dark Tourists, the McCamey Manor.
Yeah. Nah, I'm good.
So
$20K.
So you can win $20,000 to last 10 hours.
They say it's an American haunted house attraction in which survival horror style events are enacted. It is considered a pioneer in extreme haunted attractions, founded by Russ McCamey. It's located in Tennessee.
So basically, the gist of this is, this dude is pretty much allowed to torture you for 10 hours and you can win $20,000 if you make it through.
So the house permits just a handful of patrons. There's a wait list of 24,000 people and no conventional entrance fee. McCamey accepts dog food for his pets. He accepts dog food.
No, I'm out.
You can't cuss.
And the tour lasts from 8 to 10 hours. No guest has ever made it through. McCamey originally did not allow safe words for the tour, but has since reportedly allowed them. He deducts $500 from the price from every failed challenge or the use of profanity. The new 10-hour experience is called Desolation, offers a prize of $20,000. But Blaine said he found out that they shut it down because it was too extreme.
He was legitimately torturing people and just getting away with it. That's what he was doing.
So by stabbing? Could he just stab you with a sword?
Well, it's like army. It's like Navy SEAL style tactics.
That's what.
So hit me with the.
You have to sign a 40. You have to sign a 40-page document. You have to get a doctor's approval. And it basically says you can die during this.
As long as I'm not having to eat something or getting stabbed by something, 10 hours, man.
You know what you can do to a person for 10 hours? Just everything you could do, for anything you want. 10 hours.
You can't use any profanity?
You can't
See,
cuss.
that's what would get me. I'd end up winning $500. If you
I would end up owing him money.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'd literally end up owing him money.
Man. Goodness gracious.
Not
turns out, what did you say? It's just a guest Malzahn practice?
Yeah, it's just Brian Hartson. It's just Brian Hartson.
Oh, okay, here it is. During the tour, employees of the manor may physically assault patrons, waterboard them, force them to eat and drink unknown substances, have them bound and gagged, and engage in other forms of physical and psychological torture.
No. I mean, that's every week.
That's Blaine. That's yesterday for Blaine.
Love the 7 days.
That's Wednesday. That's
he does half of those before lunch.
Yeah. Of course.
I was bound and gagged at 3 o'clock this morning.
Is it past 3 already?
Surprised I made it to the show. You gotta love her safe word.
Man,
you had upside down. You paid $20,000.
Pineapple upside down cake.
You didn't know you could have gotten paid $20,000.
I know. I just left with bruises.
My goodness.
Weak mentality.
All right. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney suggests losing a few games might lighten up the bandwagon. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is set to have season-ending shoulder surgery. Say that 10 times fast. And the Astros take Game 3 over Max Scherzer and the Rangers. I'm Jake Crane. We got live call-ins, a live chat. It's Thursday, baby, and this is Crane & Company. Clemson fans should be very thankful for what Dabo Swinney has done for the program. I mean, they went from being a program that flashed every once in a while to now they can flash national championship rings all across the city. But when he was talking about bandwagon fans the other day and said, we're at a point in our time where if you don't go undefeated, you're losers, you're terrible, maybe we need to lose a few games and lighten up the bandwagon, because sometimes the bandwagon can get a little too full. To me, I think coaches need to always ask themselves, before they say anything controversial or anything to the media, how does this help my team? Does this help my team? Does it help me? You can believe that. And you know what? Fan is short for fanatical. We say this all the time on the show. Every fan base has a group of people that have unrealistic expectations or feel like everybody should be perfect. And that's an impossibility. Heck, there's even programs who haven't won half what Clemson has or won anything the year before where fans think they should go undefeated. But Dabo, you're a top 3 highest paid coach in the country. You're right in between Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. You were the one that came to Clemson and raised the standard. You brought this. You took Clemson to excellence. You let the fan base sippeth from the cuppeth. So you can't have it both ways. It's tough to build the standard to where you have. That's obvious. Everybody knows that. You can't sit here and say, we need to expect to win championships. We need to operate at this high level. And then when it doesn't happen, be upset that fans are upset. This is a high-class problem. And you're a big reason why this is a high-class problem, which in reality is a good thing. But Dabo needs to understand, these are the people that help fund his salary, that help him make the $10.5 million a year or whatever it costs. These are the people that are the diehards, and suggesting that you should lose games, and he came out and said he was joking about it, but if you watch the tone of it, I don't think he was. Suggesting that you should lose games when you put in all this work, when it's taken so much time to be able to build this place up to where it is now, you can think that, and you know what? It's not crazy to think that, but just because you can say something doesn't mean that you should. And right here, the question you got to ask yourself is, if that's okay to lose games, is Dabo still hungry enough and able to compete with the big dogs in the sport when you look at where Clemson's going, especially if they lose the ACC, leave the ACC? I want to bring in David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback. David, I don't know if you could hear that. It sounds
God,
like,
hold on, my ears.
yeah, I just think my brain just
That was just
exploded.
God's way of telling me he loves me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, that's really unfortunate. I wish he would just tell me. My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. And guys, again, in reality, expecting somebody to be perfect is ridiculous, right? We know that. But why would you come out and say this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? How does this help your team when you were the guy that took Clemson to this place?
Yeah.
How many times did Dabo Swinney say, we need to raise the standard at Clemson?
Mm-hmm.
Clemson can be an excellent place. It can be a championship program. We're right there with Kirby Smart. We're right there with Nick Saban. We can run with these guys. You can't say that and be like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe we should lose a few games as I sit back here and make my $10.5 million. In order to say that, like, that's like something the owner of a team says, or like the owner of a business says, somebody that is absolutely at the top. So unless Dabo Swinney is now the president of Clemson and also the athletic director, to me, I don't think Nick Saban would say something like this.
No, I was wondering
in
that
this
yesterday.
context.
I was wondering that yesterday. I was thinking, man, would Nick Saban say this? Because the last couple of years, we've seen Nick sort of open up and say some things that were a bit surprising. I think the answer is still probably no. This is one of those things. If Dabo Swinney told me this in confidence, personally, I would laugh hysterically. And I would say, you're exactly right.
For sure.
I mean, who among us hasn't, felt like we've worked really hard and accomplished something great, but somehow someone else just sort of overlooks that, or doesn't get on board with it, doesn't give you the kudos you deserve, or whatever. Everybody's felt like that, especially when you're talking about Dabo Swinney coming to Clemson. It's not like he filled in for the guy we were just talking about, Nick Saban, and only won 2 championships in 13 years at Alabama or a place like that. I mean, he has overperformed at Clemson by every metric possible. So of course, he's right to feel this way the last couple seasons when you win 10 games and people think that's a failure. Mm-hmm. He didn't tell me that in confidence, though. He said it publicly where everyone could hear. Yeah. I don't think it's a net positive for him. I also don't think it's that big of a deal. Clemson fans aren't as worried about this. What they're more worried about is the underlying results that they're going to see from this sort of mentality. Hey, are we getting left behind when it comes to transfer portal, when it comes to the new age of college football, those sorts of things? I think Clemson fans are looking to see, man, can Dabo Swinney still deliver, or are the best days for him at Clemson behind him? I still think he's a great football coach.
Oh, no, and look, Dabo's a fantastic football coach. Now, I think he does need to evolve a little bit as the time evolves. We always say, you got to be malleable, especially when you get to the top. But Blaine, my whole point is, like, if I'm a Clemson fan and I'm watching him say that, Cohn brought up a great point. Are the best times gone? You don't realize you're living in the good old days until they're gone, right?
Sure.
That's the old saying. But if I'm looking around and I'm watching these younger wave of coaches, I'm watching, Nick Saban still as hungry as ever at Alabama. Just watch him on the sidelines. Kirby Smart, young guy still, dominating at Georgia, and you look around the rest of the country, do I feel like we're in a position where my coach is the hungry? We want excellence. Excellence is the only standard. We talk about understanding the standard can stay really high and reality needs to be accepted when a guy takes over a place like Hugh Freeze at Auburn. But Dabo's been here. He's been here for a while. Like you gave them the happiness and the expectation, and now you want to kind of take it away. I put this in the same category as with Shane Beamer. Why tell people how you broke your foot? Just say you broke your foot. There's Mark Stoops saying, hey, if you're not happy with it, why don't you send us some more NIL money so we can get better players than the ones I have in the locker room? You may be right that the players at Kentucky aren't as good as Georgia. You may be right that the standard at Clemson, perfection is ridiculous to attain. You may be right that that's exactly how you broke your foot. But sometimes you don't need to tell everybody everything.
Man, the more I listen to Dabo, he's just turned into a crybaby, dude. He's always crying about something. Like, we never go to Dabo and it's something positive. It's the transfer portal. It's NIL. It's this. Like,
Excuses?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's kind of different. Isn't it just funny? It's kind of, if Nick Saban comes out and says something, I can just sit back and be like, you know what? He's right. He's right. Well, when Dabo comes out, it just feels off. It's like, one, I can't believe you hadn't fell down that hill yet.
I know, that's the thing that
feels like
shocks
it's
me
coming.
the most.
Two, quit wearing receiver gloves on the sidelines. Harbaugh's got his khakis and his cleats. Let's leave it at that. That's easy enough. And three, can we recruit an elite receiver? Can we focus on that, Dabo? I mean, hell, you had Hunter Renfro. I mean, you had, God, you go through all these guys. Sammy Watkins. You had Nuke Hopkins. I mean, you had
T. Higgins,
all these guys. And
Justin
now I look
Ross
out there, and it's nobody. Quit crying for the love of everything holy and just go play the football game. If I'm a fan, look, you want me to get pissed off if we lose a couple games.
Yeah.
It's the standard, buddy. You said it. Whole hell rather it be like that than what I've been going through lately. Hopefully we can win 7 this year. That's what I've been going through as a fan. You don't want that to be the expectation. So please,
what is Dave Chappelle in that skit when he takes the kid back to where he grew up from and he tells the guy, be like, hey, tell him Leonard Washington made it out. Like, if I'm a Clemson, I'm like, dog, we made it out.
Yes.
You're the highest paid coach in the ACC by over $3.5 million.
Yes.
Over, I think, Mike Norvell's second. I don't want to hear about, hey, maybe we should lose a couple games. Like, it's, again, in reality, you're not wrong. You're not going to be perfect every single time. I get it. But getting paid what you're paid with what you've shown us, maybe if I do expect you to only lose 1 game a year, it's not that crazy.
I could deal with a lot for $10 million, man.
A lot.
But I don't think Dabo Swinney is a crybaby, but I do agree that you made a good point that it's overall, it is a good thing. You do want your fan base to be so emotionally invested that when you lose a football game, they're distraught over it, because otherwise the sport will collapse and the sport will die. There's too many other ways for people to entertain themselves. So yes, I love it when these college football programs, when Texas A&M fans just, they cry and they're upset at the first loss, because that ultimately is good for the game. Now, when you talk about like Nick Saban at Alabama and the first time he loses a game in a season, Paul Feinbaum's going to come out and say the dynasty's over, just like we saw with Tom Brady, the first interception he'd ever throw. Max Kellerman trots out there, Tom Brady's career is over. That's how high you have to set the bar to be the best.
I just feel like this is like going to like the 4th grade classroom and asking all the kids, like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're always like, hey, I want to be an astronaut or something cool, right? Nobody says anything like that's not cool, but then you being like, yeah, you're probably not going to be an astronaut.
Like, no, I want to work at a bank in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Good for you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I thought really set it up high.
I thought when I was younger that every job people were doing was like what they wanted to do. So when we would like go out to eat at Waffle House or something, like, well, that guy wanted to be a Waffle House cook.
Chef.
That's awesome.
Want to be a chef.
Look, he's living his dream. I didn't know that people weren't doing the things.
Really? And then you grow up and realize that 90%
when I was like 5 years old.
Doing something they don't want to do. All right. We're going to get to the chat in 1 second. We have the phone line opening up at 7:15 a.m. Central. That's 8:15 a.m. Eastern. There's only 2 time zones. I know. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Do want to let you guys know it's obviously tailgating season. It's grilling season all year round. Unless you're from way up north, and you'll still find a way. That's why you need to make sure that you take the mystery out of the meat aisle when you are choosing what to throw on the grill or any meat to cook at home. And our friends at Good Ranchers, with their 100% American-based sourced meat, it's fantastic. We literally chicken, steak. They got seafood now. They've got absolute pork. You got the pork box.
I did.
A couple weeks ago that you said was fantastic. And we know, again, it's around this time, whether it's NFL, whether it's, heck, tailgating for Major League Baseball, which is on fire right now. Big win from the Astros last night. You want to make sure that you have the best product, and Good Ranchers does. And they want to take the trick out of your meat, and they're throwing in a treat for listeners for $30 off your order with our promo code BOOSTER at goodranchers.com, BOOSTER. Great way to support the show. Great way to have great food. We'd really appreciate it. It's not lab grown or any of that crazy stuff. So what you need to do right now, go to goodranchers.com, use that promo code BOOSTER, and you get $30 off with free express shipping on your box of America's best meat and seafood today. That's code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $30 off your box today at goodranchers.com. American meat delivered. Also, we know a lot of the stuff's out of stock. We're about to stock it back up. We're going to put the link for merch in the chat. Make sure, again, if you want to support the show, it's one of the best ways to do it. Go buy some of that merch. We got some new stuff coming that we're going to unveil very soon. We're excited about getting the Booster Club, and we want to get your thoughts on some of the new designs we have as well. All right, Blaine, what up?
All right, chat, let's get to it. It's got a Mike RFF. It's a lifestyle, baby. It says, hashtag Ask Crane & Co. Poor choice of words for Dabo, obviously. But would it have been better to set realistic expectations or blindly say we're going to win every game and a championship every year?
No, here's what you say if it's me, and we're talking about bandwagon fans. It's number one, I appreciate all the fans. Y'all are the reason that I'm here. Y'all are the reason I can put food on my family's table. And I want to win every game that we play. I don't want to just win. I want to dominate. I want to win a national championship every year. I want to give you guys back what you give me and be able to bring championships for our hardworking staff and our hardworking players. Now, are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. My coaches aren't perfect. Just like y'all aren't perfect out there. But together, we can accomplish a lot. So I want you to know, regardless of what happens, we are working as hard as we can to win every game. Are we going to be perfect? No, but we're daggum sure going to try, because that's what Clemson deserves. And that's why I came to Clemson. That's what you say.
All right, let's go to MG. He says, Dabo's got 2 rings in the last 5 or 6 years. He said, Jake, calm down. He doesn't have T-Law or Deshaun nowadays. DJU was a bust. They beat FSU. No one is trashing them. Can't turn it over in crunch time.
No. Nobody's trashing Dabo Swinney. He's one of the best coaches in college football. Now, with where college football is going and the way it's moving, just like Nick Saban with the hurry up, no huddle, and up-tempo offense, you have to make some adjustments. You're either evolving or you're dissolving in the sport. So don't get this twisted. This isn't a Dabo Swinney's a bad coach or Dabo Swinney's an idiot or doesn't know what he's doing effigy. That's not what this is. This is how does what you just said help the team when right now the perception of Clemson is declining a little bit while others are being raised, and you want to get that magic back. I just don't think this is helping. That doesn't mean that Dabo and them aren't going to win another one within the next 2 or 3 years. He's got to embrace the transfer portal. You better do a better job evaluating skill position players offensively, but this is not a Dabo can't coach speech. This is a Dabo, why would you say this? Because this helps nobody speech.
And again, to that point on DJ Uiagalelei was a bust. Not really. I mean, they still won 10 games when he was there.
Yeah.
Right? That, again, to the standard of now you're a bust unless you've won that championship, which Dabo Swinney has won as many as Kirby Smart has, who we've now crowned as like the current greatest coach.
Yeah.
You know, but another thing that I was going to say is Brent Venables was on that staff for a long, long time.
Yep.
One of those defensive coordinator assistants who stayed with the head coach season after season. Dabo hadn't had to deal with the turnover volatility that, say, a Nick Saban has, where every single year both coordinators are going to go take head coaching jobs.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Kirby Smart hung around with Nick Saban for a really long time too. And what happened when Kirby left? Look, sometimes you get the dream team together, and all of a sudden that center leaves.
In all fairness
Shaq
to Nick
gets
Saban,
on.
in all fairness to him, a lot of guys came.
No, I mean, just go look at the
still got him one
2015
after
step.
Kirby left.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Kirby Smart was the reason Nick Saban had success, but what I'm saying is there's some similarities between the amount of time and the effect and the impact that Brent Venables had on Clemson as the DC and Kirby Smart had on Alabama as the DC, because obviously when they left, we're seeing Brent still got work to do at Oklahoma. We're going to see how they finish the year, but I think it's think it's pretty obvious that Kirby Smart was a big part of the success that Nick Saban had, but Nick Saban's had success over time with multiple guys, like you said, with Will Muschamp, guys that went on to not work out as head coaches. So it's obviously different, but it just shows you the impact those guys have.
Let's go to Eddie. Says, if you can't handle the size of the bandwagon, then you don't need to be coaching at that school.
Yeah, it's, again, Cone said it, put it perfectly. If Dabo Swinney, if we're having beers with Dabo Swinney, I don't know if he drinks beers or not, or if he just drinks like water and I don't know, apple cider. And he said, and he looked at me and was like, guys, man, these fans up here, they're absolutely nuts.
Ungrateful.
They expect us to win every single game, and when we don't, if we win 11 games, you know, it's a bust, right? Or it's we don't win the championship, and I'd be like, yeah, man, that's really tough. Like, I'm not going to turn around and be like, all right, let the reporters in. Hey, coach, can you please say that to all of the media right now? That's a hey, we're buddies, let's keep it between us.
The last thing I'd ever want to be is a PR person for a big coach like that. Oh God, they're not going to listen to you.
Well, the best guy to be the PR person for is Nick Saban, because your job just really doesn't exist. Like, he's going to say what he wants. What are you going to tell Nick Saban what to say? And if he says something controversial, that's Nick Saban saying it. He's not going to get mad at you.
How would that work for the assistant with the analytics? Coach, we see the data here, and they don't like to use these.
He's like, what does the polling say? What does the focus group say? Oh, wow, well, I just got another card. The focus group said you're fired.
Yeah, you just stopped getting paid.
Yeah.
I think Nick Saban just has those buttons off Austin Powers.
Where you pray they
the
go
little
in the
red
fire?
buttons and the chair pops back and you fall into a pit of fire. That's what I think Saban has. You shot me.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
Let's go to Jose Panito. What's up, Jose? Says, do top coaches have a group text? Dabo's phone was probably blowing up with LOL text from the boys after that interview.
So many coaches are in so many text threads, but like it's not like there's a text thread with like 100 different coaches in it. Like, there's like tight circles of coaches. So it's just like anything, right? Like lawyers, like you get to a certain level, all these top lawyers talk to each other. That they all know you're kind of in your clique, in your group, because there's so much intermingling. The coaching world is actually very small. It's a lot smaller than what people think, especially the higher levels you go, just like in every other business. But yeah, you would be very surprised. Some of the ones that I'm in with certain coaches, whether they be at the college level, the junior college level, the high school level, it's just like how your text thread is with people that you work with. It's exactly like that, but for football. So if you can imagine that, sometimes it's even worse, to be honest with you. But all right, let's go ahead and move on. David, let's go ahead and get into our let's get into our NFL quick hitch. We're going to get to our sneak peek college football week 8 after
Let's do it. All right, Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is going to have season-ending shoulder surgery. Guys, we talked about this when he got drafted, that, you know, to get the most out of Anthony Richardson, he's going to have to be mobile. We saw that in the first couple games, several rushing touchdowns, broke some NFL records, but now he's going to be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, here's my thing with Anthony Richardson. You know, we saw Cam Newton, the shelf life of him in the NFL with the way that he played. They're two totally different players. I mean, Cam was a legitimate battering ram. Not that Anthony can't be, but I think Anthony's a little bit more quick twitch than Cam is, if that makes sense. But I believe that Anthony Richardson has the ability to not have to be a guy that is 65, 35, pass to run. I think Anthony Richardson can make the nuanced throws. I think he can be a guy that can sit in the pocket and have a ton of success throwing the ball in the NFL. I think that's the difference between him, in my mind, and a guy like Joe Milton. I don't think Joe Milton can make the nuanced throws, right? As some of these, Anthony Richardson is special not just because of how fast he is and how big he is, but he legitimately has all the throws in the bag. He's got to be able to read things faster, which I think he will down the road. He needs experience, but if he can't operate the way that he was operating at quarterback and run the amount that he did, and at least take the hits, right? You got to know when to slide. Every quarterback does. You got to know, hey, maybe I need to throw the ball away right here. I need to run out of bounds. Maybe I don't need to duck my head and duck my shoulder, you know, when it's 2nd and 3 to go get that first down at the end. Maybe we should get into 3rd and inches and I should slide and we should tush, you know, bush push it, whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Just quarterback sneak.
Yeah, quarterback sneak. I do think Anthony Richardson has that ceiling. But if you keep running yourself into this brick wall, we're never going to know. So maybe this is what had to happen to teach Anthony Richardson This is something you really have to do from the pocket. Yes, you're super athletic and big, but most of these guys are super athletic and big in the NFL.
So, Blaine, Anthony Richardson impressed early. We saw him come back, lead a couple game-winning drives. Had some, not just big runs, but he was throwing the ball well, too. When you look at a quarterback like Josh Allen also isn't Josh Allen without his ability to be mobile and to run around. Hasn't caught up with him in this same type of way. Does Anthony Richardson come back from season-ending surgery, and next year he's, back to what we thought he could do?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you just have to learn how to not get squared up in the league. And you bring up Josh Allen, and the big guy I go back to is Jalen Hurts. Jalen runs a good bit in the NFL, and it's QB design runs, right? You're reading it so it can be RPOs, regardless of what it is. But you rarely see Jalen get squared up. And Anthony will learn that in the league.
Lamar's the same.
Lamar's a lot more quick twitch.
They're different runners,
right?
but they don't get
Anthony's
squared
more
up.
of a bigger guy. He's not huge like Cam. He's faster than Cam, but he doesn't run as downhill as Cam. So if you're Colts, if you're the Colts coaching staff, you still got to run them, but you got to run them in the right situations, right, in the right places. I think the Eagles do a great job with Jalen Hurts with doing that. So Anthony, the more he plays, the more he'll learn not to get squared up, learn how to slide, learn how to get out of bounds. It sucks for this injury because if you go back to the hit, it wasn't a brutal hit. It really wasn't. It was just one of those things you landed on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's just unlucky.
He's taken some shots. He's had to come out of basically every game that he's played.
You got to learn. You got to learn how not to get squared up in the NFL. It's a lot easier said than done. But I think he'll obviously get better at it, and he'll learn not to take those chances. You don't need to run over a guy every play.
Yeah.
All right, we don't need to see that. We already saw that in college. Congrats. We know what you can do. Just learn how to slide, learn how to get out of bounds, and learn how not to get squared up.
All right, let's stay on NFL quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson says he can't put a timeline on his return to the Browns. Cleveland here is 3-2, second in the AFC North. They have, talking about the Colts, they have the Colts coming up on the road, Seahawks coming up on the road. What's this going to look like for the Browns down the stretch of the schedule?
Well, it seemed like Deshaun was, finally kind of knocking the rust off a little bit before this injury. Not that he was looking great, but it looked a little bit more Deshaun Watson-y, at least from what we can remember. David, when you look at the contract, we can talk about that. They overpaid him. I don't think that's any secret. How good can Deshaun Watson be down the stretch for the Browns? Can you be that upper echelon quarterback?
I've been asking.
I still don't. I'm not ready to say yes or no on it because again, he's had to sit out with obviously the stuff off the field. Now you're hurt on the field. PJ Walker comes in, and the Browns are a defensive-led team. Let's make no mistake about it. But it's not like they don't have weapons. Mm-hmm. You look at what the Browns have. They got more than a lot of people
on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, Joku. I know Chubb's out, but you pick up Kareem Hunt. Ford's not a bad player. The offensive line isn't horrible. The question now becomes, if Deshaun Watson doesn't perform at that elite level and this defense is kind of wasted down the stretch, when you look at that contract and what they're locked into, it's a tough situation. I just don't know if I believe in Deshaun Watson again.
And how could you right now? He hasn't shown it since the situation in Houston. You're talking about Clemson quarterbacks who really delivered. He's the reason they won that 2016 national championship. And you did the hard part by translating to the NFL. He was as good as it gets as a young quarterback in Houston. Haven't seen it so far in Cleveland, and sort of it gets exacerbated when you're paying the guy $240 guaranteed.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because you're paying all this money. You don't feel like you're getting everything out of him. But also, you're paying all this money, so you definitely want him to come back fully healthy, right? So if it's me, like Deshaun, if you're not, I'm pretty sure it's a throwing shoulder.
I believe so.
It's a throwing shoulder. So if you're not fully healthy, we obviously wait for you to come back. You're fully ready to go. Hell, you just beat the best team in the NFL with your third-string quarterback, basically. So Deshaun, I obviously overpaid him, but until you're full go, we want you to be healthy, so then we'll get you back.
All right, staying with the NFL quarterbacks here. Kyler Murray is back at practice for the Cardinals. Cardinals 1-5, fourth in the NFC West. They did have that big win over the Cowboys. What should the strategy be here for Arizona as they move forward? Kyler Murray is going to come back to practice, but also, is he the long-term answer for the Cardinals?
If I'm the Cardinals, the first thing I'm trying to find out is, can I move them? Can I move them? Are there any takers for Kyler Murray? And here's where the injury hurts him so badly, because not that Kyler's not going to come back and be athletic. We know he's a witch of the highest order, but when you check the Carfax, all right, that's a knock against you. Oh, you were in a car wreck. This car was in a car wreck a year and a half ago. We're gonna have to knock some off the price. It loses value, right? Not saying that Kyler Murray is an object, but when you're in the business of the NFL, obviously health goes into the contract and if your ability to move somebody. So if I'm Arizona, knowing the quarterback class that is coming out, right? And I think Josh Dobbs has done a really good job. I like Josh Dobbs. But I am doing everything I can and exhausting every option out of screwing myself over and putting our organization in a bad position by just giving him away to try and go get one of these top-tier quarterbacks. That's what I'm doing. Now, if there's no takers, looking at the contract and kind of what it says, then I think you got to kind of let it play for as long as possible and just run the ground ball out. But if it's me, I'm trying to move them.
I mean, if there ever is going to be a time, with the depth of the quarterback class coming out, it's now. You got to think they're going to have a high pick. I don't know exactly what pick. But, man, if I'm the Cardinals, God, let's play a game of how quick can I go get Drake, man.
Yeah, you want to play Call of Duty? I want to play, hey, Drake, where are you?
Yeah, if you really want to hurt him,
where are
what
you?
movie is this from? But if you really want to hurt him, you got to take the control out of his hand. That's how you
game
really
controller. All right, last one here. Julio Jones, 7-time Pro Bowler, back with the Falcons, signing a 1-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. Really one of the greatest wide receivers that we've seen during our
I hope he
generation.
gets him one.
Didn't really work out so much when he went to the Titans, but going to Philly, how big of an impact will he have for the Eagles?
I think he have a big red zone impact. I think he's a guy you can put on the other side of A.J. Brown. I think he's great for this talented young group of receivers that the Eagles still have. I think people forget A.J. Brown's not old. Devontae Smith is not old, right? They've got some young guys in very important places. I think he's a great veteran to have in there. Not that these guys weren't handling their business, but from an on-the-field standpoint, you're not expecting Julio to come out here and have 1,200 receiving yards. You're not expecting him to take half the snaps offensively of the game. But still, to this day, when Julio Jones steps out on that field, defenses have to account for him. He can still hurt you in ways. I'm just wondering, is this going to be more of a red zone play? Is this going to be more of a spell A.J. Brown play? Or is this one where you put your two towers on the outside and let's play a game of who do you want to double? If you don't want to double, if you're going to try and double both of them, you get in two-man or at least shade them with the safeties. Well, we got another guy, Devontae Smith, who can play inside and out.
Or is this going to be more like Odell Beckham Jr. right now with the Ravens?
God, man, it's one, I'm surprised he came back. Two, I'm not surprised he didn't win anything at the Titans. No one wins anything at the Titans. Three, with Julio now being back, is this the best offense in football?
Personnel-wise?
Personnel-wise, got to be.
I don't know, man. The Niners are right there.
Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Dallas Goedert, and DeAndre Swift.
Against
Jalen Hurts,
McCaffrey.
Best offensive line in football.
How injured is Christian McCaffrey and Dabo Samuel for the 49ers?
I think Debo's playing. Christian's out. Christian's out for a couple weeks.
Well, if we're talking about overall, if we're going to talk about at full strength, who has better personnel, I'm taking.
So you're taking Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel,
Jawan Jennings.
How about the Miami Dolphins entering the chat?
Juszczyk.
How about the Dolphins entering the chat?
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. A-Chain's banged up.
He'll be back, though.
I still think it's the Niners, man.
God, I think the Eagles have the best personnel in the NFL.
You can make that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think that's.
I think this
crazy.
is more of a red zone play.
Let's see if Julio Jones stays healthy.
I agree with that. All right, we got college football. I'm going to get to the chat here in 1 second. The lines are going to open here in about 12 minutes. But we want to let you know if you have lines or spots or discolorations on your skin, Genucel Skincare, it doesn't matter, male, female, they have got you covered, literally. It's no secret that we love Genucel. All three of us use it. Our families use it. The Booster Club sold them out last time. We want to do it again. Sunspots, dark spots, like I said, discoloration, dry skin. They'll make those blemishes disappear. You can read all their testimonials at the website I'm going to give out. And you need to take advantage of their most popular package, which includes the dark spot corrector. This is one of their most popular products as well. It includes the classic under eye treatment, so you don't be Puffy the Vampire Slayer. You will also get these products for almost 70% off, which is an incredible deal. You can't find anything 70% off nowadays. And Genucel's so confident in their products, you can try them for yourself, completely risk-free. And if you don't see immediate results, you'll get your money back. So it's very simple. Help out the show. Help out Genucel. Go to Genucel.com, GENUCEL.com/booster, BOOSTER, and start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow. Say hello to the best skin you've ever had. That's Genucel.com/booster, Genucel.com/booster. All right, Booster Club.
Let's go to Brock. He said the draft capital and contract for Watson was whack job behaviors. Considering what he did is absolutely the wrong decision.
I agree. I feel like 85% of people agree on that. It's one of those things, too, where you messed up the market so bad you pissed off other NFL teams. You blew up the market, right? You raised because again, it's like the Nick Saban clause in his contract. If anybody gets paid more than Nick Saban instantly gets paid more than they do.
Let's go to Kyle Edwards. What's up, Cal? Says, does Miami have the defense to be the best team in the NFL?
I don't think so.
They're not bad.
The defense is
nobody's
good.
saying they're bad. We're talking about, can they be the best team in the NFL, the most complete team in the NFL? Miami have the best offense. Believe me, I'm
look at San Francisco.
I'm on
both
that
sides
train.
of the ball.
Yeah. I just think that's a hard sell. Offensively, hell yeah. We can talk about that.
Doesn't mean they couldn't beat them in a matchup, though.
Yeah, it's one game. It's a drag race out there on offense. But if we're going to talk about who has the most complete team, I think Dolphins are top 3, top 4.
Let's go to George Scott. What's up, George? He said, does Deshaun walk around like he acts like he does nothing wrong? He kind of gives off that vibe to me.
I don't know Deshaun personally. Would I be surprised if that was the case? No, not at all. But I don't know him personally, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do.
Let's go to Panito. He says, we all hated Baker for playing injured, and now we all hate Deshaun for not wanting to play hurt.
No, I don't think anybody's hating him. Maybe in the chat they are, but I'm not hating him for playing hurt. I mean, the best ability is availability. We all know that. Now, I like guys that try and push through things. I'd rather have to say whoa than go. But like Blaine said, if you're going to pay that much for a player, he needs to be healthy and operating at the highest level he possibly can when he gets out there. And if you're Deshaun Watson, I know Deshaun doesn't want to be hurt. I know he wants to play, but what a great situation to be in. You're getting paid so much money that you don't work unless you're feeling almost perfect. Mm-hmm. That is an incredible spot to be in.
Was that a major criticism of Baker Mayfield, that he played hurt too often? I don't remember that narrative.
Well, somebody, I think when he had the shoulder stuff, when he had the shoulder stuff, they said, are you hurting the team to go out there and play? But again,
a reporter asked him that?
Well, people were talking, I think people in the media were talking about it. Is it costing the team? But I would much rather have a guy that wants to go in there and play, and I have to say, listen, you cannot play.
Yeah.
Because, mentally, you can't think, oh, well, I'm hurting.
How's it on the player?
Yeah, I don't think that's on the player.
That's why you have an entire staff of medical personnel.
That's exactly right.
And it shouldn't be on the coaches, too, at that level.
No.
The head coach, it's not my job to do. You tell me whether or not these players can go.
That's exactly
If they can, that's your job.
For sure.
All right, let's go to Heartbroken Hog. What's up, brother? It says, if Julio can be 70% or 80% of what he was, I think the Eagles will have the best offense.
Well, that's what they're banking on.
80% would be a win.
Career. Yeah. 80% of Julio Jones at this point in his career? Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, let's get to college football.
All right, let's sneak peek some of these games. Let's start with some games we hadn't talked about much this week so far. Auburn versus Ole Miss. How do you guys see this one going?
Well, it's a lot easier to trust Auburn at home. I mean, you look at the way they played against Georgia. We all know how crazy Jordan Hare is. The quarterback situation, Hugh Freeze in a tough spot. Because Peyton Thorne, the last time you did play at home, he put some balls in some places against Georgia that makes you say, okay, maybe they can get something done. But overall, if you're trying to hit explosive plays, which you are offensively, I don't know how Robbie Ashford isn't the guy. It's not like that there's this unbelievable huge gap where when Peyton Thorne's in there, Auburn's throwing for 300 yards, and when Robbie Ashford comes in, they can't throw for a drop. I mean, they barely threw for over 100 yards against LSU. And you don't want to have something where you have a starting quarterback on the road and then a starting quarterback at home. If Robbie Ashford gives you the best chance to hit explosive plays, I think they may give Peyton Thorne a little run at the beginning, but it's probably going to be Robbie at the end. I just don't trust Auburn's offense to score enough and them have a good enough pass rush to keep Ole Miss from scoring. It was -6.5 last time I saw it, Ole Miss. I don't know if it's moved up or down since then, but it's a home game. Auburn will be in the fight. I just don't know if the offense can generate enough points. And that's not just one position. That's multiple positions where Auburn is deficient, especially on the outside at wide receiver.
Yeah, give me Ole Miss by 1,000. By a million, gazillion, thousand, whatever the number is. Look, let's be honest here. Look, it's not on Hugh. Peyton Thorne sucks, all right? He's trash. He's garbage, all right? Not only are you not good, but you're running out of bounds on 4th and 5s. Once I saw that, you're dead to me. All right, absolutely dead to me. Let's just put Robbie in there. We'll run it 90% of the time and hope and pray we're in it late. All right, so give me Ole Miss -6. I am betting against Auburn for the rest of the season, and I'll probably hit every single one of them. I can't wait.
Ole Miss 5-1 right now. Only loss against Alabama. Each week that goes by, that loss looks less and less bad. We saw Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin get off to a hot start last year, sort of fell apart at the end of the season. Down the stretch here, we know they have they're at Auburn this weekend, like we just talked about. Then Vanderbilt at home, Texas A&M at home. They do go on the road to Georgia. They get UL Monroe at home, and then the Egg Bowl at the end of the season against Mississippi State will be on the road. Is this a 10-win team?
I think it possibly could be. I think Jackson Dart's made a big jump. I mean, last year, one of his biggest problems was he wouldn't see intermediate defenders in the passing game. And look, you're going to have some of the balls where you throw it deep. Lane likes to take shots on, if it's 3rd and really long and almost treat it like a punt, the safety picks it off. He'll have some of his turnovers that way. But last year, Jackson Dart, it seemed like if you played nickel or you played linebacker, or you were a down safety or in any sort of zone coverage, Jackson Dart just saw through you. You know what I'm saying? Like he would. That's where most of his turnovers were. It seems like he's really fixed that bugaboo. I think the offensive line hasn't been as good as what I thought it was going to be for Ole Miss going in this year. They have a bunch of talent on the outside, and we know what Quinshon Judkins is at running back. I think it could be, but it seems there's always those 2-3 games a year where Lane's teams just kind of fall apart in games that they shouldn't. I'm not talking about at Alabama on the road. That's a tough assignment. I didn't love the game plan going in there, but that's understandable. Can they get past those 2 to 3 speed bumps where they don't play as well as they can, but they still win the game as opposed to losing to teams that they are better than? That's the thing with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And look, Mississippi schools have struggled at Auburn. Not an easy place to play. But this team does have experience. You have a defensive coordinator in Pete Golding that I believe in that's going to put a plan together. Against Auburn's offense right now, it's not tough. But I do think this team may be closer to being that consistent 10-win team than we've seen in the past with Lane Kiffin.
All right, UCF at Oklahoma. This is now a conference game in the Big 12. UCF started 3-0. They've lost the last 3. Sounds like John Rice Plumlee will play this
Tom
week, even though it sounds
yesterday.
Game time decision. But sounds like he will play. Oklahoma obviously unbeaten.
Yeah, the over-under 66 in this game. Oklahoma's an 18.5-point favorite. Obviously what they did against Texas, you got to kind of keep rowing the boat here. I don't know if I trust UCF defensively to be able to stop Oklahoma at all. I don't think they're going to be able. Now, the question is, can UCF score with Oklahoma to the point to stay in the game? I think maybe early. I don't trust John Rice Plumlee. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't trust him throughout 4 quarters of the game. He'll make a couple great plays. He'll make a couple big mistakes. I don't know if Oklahoma covers, but I think they score more than 45. I think they score a lot.
You like the over in this one, don't you, Blaine?
I mean, yeah, I do. I like it a lot. Anytime we get these 2 teams together, but I think Oklahoma's going to just kill these kids. I really do. I think Oklahoma, we're so used to an Oklahoma team that gives up a lot of points, right? That's not this team.
With the great offense.
Yeah,
with
that's
that
not this isn't Lincoln Riley ain't coaching this football team. This is a defensively coached football team. That's what they are. 18.5, easy money. The real question is, can UCF score enough for the over to hit? I think you can play this up to 23.5. This feels like a 48-24 game. Like, that's what it feels like to me. I think it may get over 70.
All right, boys, next one here. Missouri, really one of the best stories in the SEC right now. 6-1, their only loss, that shootout against LSU. They're averaging 446 on offense. They're giving up 345 yards on defense. 6-1, they host a 2-4 South Carolina Gamecock team.
See, we're talking about Lane Kiffin, those 2 or 3 games where kind of Ole Miss doesn't play well against teams that they're better than. South Carolina tends, these are the type games where South Carolina goes in there and just plays well out of nowhere. After losing at home against Florida, it's weird with Shane Beamer. Like, every time everybody's off the train, they win one that brings everybody back on. Every time everybody's on the train, they'll lose one or lose a couple, and everybody falls back off. Maybe lose one that they shouldn't. Like, they shouldn't have lost to Florida, in my opinion, when you go back and watch that game. But if I'm a Missouri fan, what gives me the most hope is that you beat Kentucky on the road, by like 17 points, and Luther Burden didn't go off.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you kind of the breadth of this team, that it's not a one-trick pony. It's not either, Luther goes off and we win, or he doesn't go off and we probably lose. I think that shows you they're more of a complete team. They're not great against the pass. I think South Carolina can exploit them a little bit there, but South Carolina is so deficient up front on both sides of the ball, whether it's the front seven on defense, against the pass and the run. They struggle against both. And then offensively, it's Spencer Rattler in the get. Juice Wells has been hurt versus everybody else. And Trey Knox, I like Knox. But I don't see a way in which Missouri takes South Carolina lightly, because Missouri just hasn't been here in a while. I don't think they're to the point where they can look past anybody. This is a game that you win this one, you're 7-1?
Mm-hmm.
Get to 7-1. I mean, that extension for Drink at the end of last year is looking smarter and smarter and smarter the longer we go on. The question is, how much backlash is there in Columbia, in South Carolina, not Missouri, if South Carolina loses this one? Because that's 2-5.
Yeah. South Carolina have a chance here?
I mean, yeah, they have a chance. It's because I don't think Missouri's defense is that great. But this Missouri team, even with all the success they're having, they're still playing like they have something to prove.
Yeah.
Right? And that's Missouri's DNA right now. And I think Missouri's the second best team in the East. I really do. Tennessee fans, you can get upset about that if you want. I really don't care. If you watched Missouri play this year, I think you should think the same. And if you roll through their schedule now, you got Tennessee at home, all right? You go on the road at Georgia, all right? A Georgia team without Brock Bowers is beatable, all right? Missouri and Georgia always play each other close. You go back to that year when Georgia won the Natty. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I mean, Georgia had to come back late.
Last year.
It was last year. Had to come back
24-20.
late. A final drive to beat that Missouri team. So right now, if you want to be a team weary of maybe sneaking their way into some things, it might be the Missouri Tigers.
I tell you what, man. I don't know how I don't go ahead and lock in Missouri -6.5 at -29 right now. It's at -7, but you can get it under -130 at 6.5. I'm just trying to. I don't think South Carolina can stop Missouri.
No, South Carolina can't stop anybody.
Well,
to the point now, you know that. If you're a South Carolina fan, you're every week in and out, it's going to be a shootout.
You know what? I'm going to lock in. I locked in USC -6.5. I'm going to lock in Missouri -6.5 at -129. There's Cercio. I mean, shoot, with the way they're playing, like I said, I don't think they're going to overlook them. I like that bet.
All right, Texas at Houston. Texas only lost in the Red River Shootout. Houston, in-state rival. Any chance that Dana Holgorsen can put together some sort of valiant effort here at home trying to beat Texas in their last year in the conference?
Well, you're coming off that Hail Mary win against West Virginia.
Yeah.
Which talk about huge for Dana, because, I mean, it's kind of going downhill a little bit like it was at West Virginia before he left and went to Houston. I think Houston will obviously get up for this game. It's you're hosting the evil empire, as you could say, in their last year in the conference. I think it may be Houston's got some athletes that can make some plays, some speed. They're just little. Houston's just little. And over time, gravity's a real thing, right? There's a reason old people don't get taller. It just keeps pushing down on you and pushing down on you till all of a sudden by the fourth quarter, you're hunched over. You're like an old man, like Rumpelstiltskin over there. You know what I'm saying? Just not doing all the weird stuff. So I think Houston may put up a fight early, but it's a John Mayer song. It's gravity over 4 quarters.
Texas rolls them?
Oh, yeah, it's one of those things like when you're young and you're growing up and you got to play your older brother in video games, right? And you're about to lose, so you go through the stages of getting pissed.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're already losing early.
They score early.
You're a cheater. Next, second half, you're bawling, crying, and try to fight your older brother. That's what this is going to be. Houston's going to try hard. They're going to give it everything you got. It's going to be a father and the son in the driveway. I'm going to show you a couple things. Hike. We're going to run the ball and average 7 yards a carry. Congrats on the Hail Mary. Now this is what the real thing looks like.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
All right, last one here. Remember, we'll have our keys to victory tomorrow for other games, but Michigan State, 24.5 on the line like we talked about. The whole Mel Tucker situation's just got Michigan State reeling. They're 2-4 right now. It is a rivalry game, an intense rivalry game for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Michigan really just looks unstoppable right now. They come to East Lansing, and it's a night game. Remember the tunnel situation that happened last year? A lot of bad blood where there already was bad blood. Does Michigan just roll through this game?
Look, Michigan State, nobody believes, right? You brought up the Mel Tucker situation. It's been a disaster. Guys have gotten in the portal. You blew a game against Rutgers that you should have won. It's just all bad right now. I mean, they're already looking forward to basketball season. Nobody believes in Michigan State right now against Michigan. Everybody's talking about how dominant Michigan is, how they're the best team in college football, how especially now with Brock Bowers out, Michigan is probably the dominant team with the experience and the talent that they return. But Michigan State has this game at home. It's a rivalry game. But David, none of that matters because Michigan State is terrible. They're terrible. Michigan can go play their C game and probably cover this spread. I don't think Michigan State can put up enough of a fight for it to be even close. And this isn't, you can put this in a hype video. You can personally email it to every player at Michigan State. I don't care because unless Gandalf or Dumbledore or there's some sort of Magic the Gathering party that's happening with a Ouija board.
I heard they have box seats.
That can...
You got to watch out for Dumbledore in the locker room.
Yeah.
That's the newer version.
Yeah, that's the new Dumbledore.
It's a new definition of hold my wand.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Patronus.
Yeah.
But no, look, Michigan State's got no chance.
Does Michigan play?
I want to sit
No, it's
here.
just going to be a lot of
Does
this.
Michigan play a game of how bad?
It's a lot of this. Or
How
shut up.
How bad can we
Go to sleep. That's what it's going to be. All right, Michigan might do what Michigan does every week. We're going to let you score just to see what it feels like. All right? That's what Michigan does.
The tsunami.
They beat teams by 50. All right? Joe Kim Noah's playing quarterback for y'all. All right? We're not talking post moves. You got him out there shooting. Did you watch the Rutgers game?
I watched it.
I got worse.
Are you betting? Are you going to bet Michigan?
I'm betting Michigan every week. Every week. Oh, I just heard it, especially the last 2 weeks. Oh, no, I wouldn't trust him in the second half. It's a backdoor cover. People, you have to realize Michigan's threes are better than Michigan State's starters. Realistically, if you put Michigan State's threes and twos out there, they'd probably cover 13 and a half.
B team.
B team, absolutely. I mean, if you're Jim Harbaugh, I mean, you're just basically sitting back there. You don't even have to coach. You don't even have to coach.
He
right
did
now,
it.
Jim
He did it
Harbaugh's
the first three.
Jim Harbaugh's
First
an
four.
NBA coach right now. That's what he is. Good job, guys. Hey, JJ, yeah, good.
Guys,
good.
hey, let's do better.
Yeah, 24 and a half. 24 and a half. That might be covered at halftime.
I don't think that's crazy. See, now you're making me want to take it.
Oh, I'm taking it. Oh, God, I've been taking it the last couple of weeks. People are like, Indiana, watch out.
Yeah.
Against these guys? Look at them. Their smallest guy's like 6'7".
Apparently, PJ Fleck was like, he called. It's like, listen, it was time. I was like, you're about to play an NFL team.
Yeah, PJ Fleck said, this is the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If PJ Fleck says that, I mean, that's about...
Young Professor X?
Yeah, 50%.
Look at PJ Fleck. He looks like young Professor X. Like when he goes bald. Like
yeah,
that one
y'all
actor.
are blatantly better than... I mean, Ohio State's and Penn State's the only conversation. I think y'all are a lot better than Penn State. Everyone's gassing
find
this
out
Drew
about-
Aller guy
We'll
up.
know more.
No,
we're gonna
Drew's
see.
nice. I think
48
a lot of
hours.
people are gassing Penn State up. We're going to see.
We'll know more.
Yeah, we'll know very quickly. All right, we want to get to calls 1-855-236-3228. You want to go ahead and hop on those, Cody? But actually, you know what?
You know what
we're
today
getting
is.
Get Off My Lawn, typically on a Wednesday, on a Thursday.
Yes,
So
sir.
before
Boy.
we even get to calls, David, there's somebody on your lawn.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
on a lot of lawns.
He
This
hops
guy's on
on there
a lot
often.
of
I was not speaking
lawns.
Spanish.
Who's G'ing off your L today, David?
Roger Goodell and the NFL need to get off my lawn.
That's a bad right.
Reports surfaced this week that the National Football League is considering one day playing the Super Bowl in London. That's right, the famed championship for our country's premier sport, a contest nicknamed America's Game, could be hosted by our opponents in the Revolutionary War. Now, Roger Goodell, or as he shall henceforth be called Redcoat Roger, doesn't care what I think. He's amassed a fortune of $700 million as commissioner of the league, more than double Tom Brady's earnings over 23 seasons. I don't fault the guy for trying to grow the game globally. International appreciation for our version of football would be great, and that's not impossible just because soccer exists. But like the NBA, and the NHL, Goodell's globalist desires undercut his core demographic, those of us who've supported the game since our youth. To quote Drake, we were the ones with you shooting in the gym. You know who is successfully scaling a sport worldwide without sacrificing diehard supporters? Dana White with the UFC. It's not too much to ask for the commissioner of a sport to love the sport he commissions. Perhaps some of you are saying, I gave up on the NFL long ago. The Super Bowl is a corporate event that I can't afford to attend anyway, so why do I care where they televise it from? And you're not wrong, but the revenue generated from the game should at least go to the American cities that help build this league. Regular season games are bad enough, but this is unacceptable. If the world wants football, play exhibitions or set up a scrimmage. For those not outraged by this, do you even cry when you watch The Patriot? Mel Gibson didn't fight side by side with George Washington against General Cornwallis to avenge Heath Ledger's death so that Benedict Arnold's great nephew could sabotage the Super Bowl.
And he did.
How about this? When the English Premier League final gets hosted by Nashville, Tennessee, maybe we can talk. Until then, stay off my lawn.
Hell yes. Yes.
Doesn't it feel like Jake's behind this?
What?
Doesn't it feel like he's behind this?
I don't think so.
I
the
got
Super
nothing
Bowl?
to do with
I think
this.
he's behind.
You wouldn't stoop that low.
No.
I think it's some. I mean, look,
No.
first barbecue, now the Super Bowl.
No.
What are you trying to do to this country?
No, I've
No.
said multiple times, I think there should be an NFL division in London. Like we have the NFC West and what. I think there should be one if you want to grow the game globally. But the Super Bowl, the championship game of America's sport, should be played in America, dude. Look, they blew a 13-colony lead. I don't trust them with anything, if we're going to be honest. But we're going to take one of our favorite things and move it over. Can you imagine if they tried to play the college football national championship in London?
Oh,
Dude, we'd get in long shit.
You thought January 6th was
Like all of a sudden,
Los Angeles was bad enough.
No, like all of a sudden, why am I dressed up in like old colonial clothing, walking around with a musket?
They won't let us tailgate in LA for the championship. You want
Dude,
to move it to London?
no,
How
that's
much
a-
of
that's
this,
a bridge
though?
too
And you
far.
saw Adam Schefter tweet. This isn't me just making stuff up. Like, this really made the rounds this week. How much of this is Roger Goodell just sort of, hey, let's let this leak, right? Let's let it get out there so people can sort of be mad about it. Then they get over it, right?
No one's gonna
Just
get over
Sort of testing the water so that he can pull this in a couple
There's certain
years.
things you get
No.
over. This isn't something you just get over. Like football, like look.
Roger Goodell would do this.
I
I'm
would
not saying
love-
Roger.
I
He
would-
just got a
I would-
contract extension. He would do this.
I would love for somebody just to go dump all of Roger Goodell's tea into like his pond by his house. Maybe that's what we need to do.
And again, man, like 700, you made $700 million from the league. I get it. You want to grow the game. You're watching what the NBA is doing and all that. But man, like we're the ones who've been loving football forever, right? Like
700
Can we just get an
million.
Olympic football team first before we do?
they're going to play flag football.
Doesn't count.
And Michael
No,
Parsons
it
said he's
doesn't
going
count.
to
I don't want flag football.
no, I
We
want.
need to understand. We need to kind of just remind people. You know the best way to remind people that America's a superpower? Like, look, military, all that stuff, obviously, duh. You need to have all the nicest stuff. But let him see Trent.
Yeah, we call it. Yeah,
Let him
we
see
call it
Trent
delivering
tackle.
some freedom.
Yeah.
All right, let us deliver some
Yeah,
freedom.
let's let Fred Warner come downhill for America.
Oh.
Fred will probably go play for Mexico. Yeah, get your ass out of here.
Fred Warner?
Yeah,
Is he Mexican?
yeah. Runs
No,
out with
he plays
he runs out with
there.
the Mexican flag all the time.
I guarantee he'd play. You want to know why Fred Warner wouldn't play for Mexico? Because he knows what he'd have to play against.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah.
You're not playing. You're not.
What,
You're not
flag
getting
football?
asked to be on the
No.
dream team and then going to play for Yugoslavia.
I want
Warner.
some guy from Sweden to tackle Derrick Henry.
No. Imagine, and I've said this a million times, imagine, all right, hey guys, we got NFL rules football in the Olympics. America's sending their dogs. We're not sending like, the second team bench guy from the Sixers. We're not sending Maxey overseas. He's a good player. We're talking about these are the Pro Bowlers. I want Aaron, can you imagine? They're like, all right, got South Korea first round. The South Korean center trying to block, I don't know, Aaron Donald over there warming up with
To be
knives.
honest, flag football can be.
But I feel like the NATO meetings should be kicked off with a game of art. What did I say?
He said flag football can be pretty dangerous.
pretty.
Well, for you.
it could really take a
But
toll.
no, you want a dose of American dominance and innovativeness? Look at our offense. Look at that. Like, oh hey, by the way, here's our coaches.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine the coaches staff you put together?
Put Tyreek Hill in motion.
Yeah, watch Tyreek Hill outrun everybody in the world. That would be awesome to watch. That would be the most American. You think people like the World Cup? Imagine if we watch something, the Olympics like that, where we know we're the dominant team. That must be what like Germany and England feels like in like soccer when we do the Olympics. Forget it. Let's pull out of soccer. We're not going to win that. We're not good enough. We haven't done Operation Petty Dexterity
No,
yet.
they won't do it.
Let's play football and let's remind y'all a little bit. I agree with that.
delivering some freedom, baby.
That's exactly right. All right.
Alert, alert. Pongo. We got Josh on the line in North Carolina.
Oh, God.
Josh, what's up?
Well.
What's up, Josh?
How's it going?
What's up, dude?
Nothing much. I'm going to run through this as quick as possible. I made a bet with Sean, and I lost. I took Oregon. He took Washington, and now I have to make this decree. Oregon State is the better Oregon football team. Go Beavers.
Oh, there it is. Look, you're a man of your word. At least
Man
you're following
of your
through
word.
with your
Yes,
bets.
Deep down, you know they're not.
Listen, damn up.
Right. And all right, now I got to get off my lawn.
All right.
Jake, about his monologue the other day.
About which one? Which one?
Right. Oh, it's the Tennessee monologue. You know which one I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. So you tweeted on Sunday, it's safe to say Tennessee can run it versus anybody.
Yes.
Yet on your monologue, you said we would have some success against Bama rushing-wise.
Yes.
And I think you're downplaying that. We are averaging 230 rushing yards a game, and against the 19th ranked rushing defense of A&M, we ran it for 232. Alabama's rush defense is 18th. What do you think we're going to do against Alabama? And you say you don't trust Joe Milton. That's fine. I have no problem with that. However, how can you trust Jalen Milroe more? Here are some stat comparisons between the two quarterbacks. Joe Milton, 112 for 182, 63% completion, 1,264 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. Jalen Milroe, 85 for 132, 64% completion, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 picks. Basically the same quarterback, essentially. Last but not least, let's get in the weeds of how these offenses and defenses compare. Offensively, Bama's averaging 30 points a game. Tennessee is averaging 33. Bama is averaging 368 yards per game. Tennessee is averaging 444 yards per game. Defensively, Bama is allowing 16 points per game. Tennessee is allowing 17 points per game. Bama is giving up an average of 290 yards per game. Tennessee is giving up 303 yards a game. Overall, Tennessee's offense is ranked 31st, and their defense is ranked 17th. Alabama's offense is ranked 86th, and their defense is ranked 15th. Jake, you mentioned in the monologue you believe Alabama will cruise to a 34-16 victory. As Tim Robinson famously stated, are you sure about that? I rest my case.
All right. First off, Josh, look, I love you coming in here. A couple things. One, yes, I do think Tennessee can run the ball with some success against anybody. I think A&M may be better against the run in the front seven than Alabama is overall when it comes down to it. Not by a lot, but by a little. I do think Tennessee will have some success running the ball against Alabama, and it's on the road. That game, again, against A&M, it was at home. Teams typically tend to play better at home. Alabama typically tends to play better at home. That's just how it works. When you went to talking about Joe Milton compared to Jalen Milroe, their numbers are similar. There's some things that are some similarities there. I don't trust Jalen Milroe to make all the nuanced throws or get through all the reads right now where he's at in his career. Joe Milton's almost 40 years old. He's been to what? 2-3 different schools. He's had it. Joe Milton is who he is. I think Jalen Milroe is developing. I do think Jalen Milroe is a more accurate deep ball thrower, and the splits show that. You talk about the total yards the Tennessee's put up against Alabama. Strength of schedule, up to today, Alabama, number 5 in the country. Tennessee, almost 50th. I think we're kind of comparing apples and oranges there. Not that Tennessee's a bad team or Alabama's the best team in the country, but I think it's about who you played, not just how you played. So, look, could this game be close? Hell yeah, it's a rivalry game. It's Tennessee and Alabama. I think this game's going to look a lot different than it did last year. But I'll say it again, Tennessee's only way they're going to be able to move the ball is on the ground, in my opinion. I know that, you know that, Alabama knows that, and Tennessee, I think, will still be able to move the ball somewhat, but I don't think they'll be able to score when they get in the red zone because Joe Milton can't make those nuanced throws in the intermediate, on 3rd and medium, and 3rd and long, and it's only a matter of time before Jalen Milroe hits them deep or takes off and makes a big play. I'm interested to see if they run him more. So, look, you bring up some good points, but I got to combat those points with facts. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I believe what I believe, but the best part, Josh, is we'll see.
Put 100 on it, Josh.
Yeah.
I heard all those stats. Put 100 on it.
Also, I got some bets I wanted to read off before I hopped off with
Go ahead.
So I made some bets. I took Missouri minus 6.5. These are straight bets. Sorry, Mississippi, Ole Miss minus 6.5. USC minus 6.5. Ohio State, I bought it down to minus 2.5.
Love
I
it.
didn't trust them as much.
Love it.
And then James Madison minus 3.5. I didn't buy a point.
Parlay that. Parlay that, Josh. Parlay that.
I'm thinking about doing it, but there's this parlay. It's plus 1,100 odds, and I was talking to Blaine about it. And I was thinking about putting 100 on it to win 1,100.
How many legs is it?
It's Missouri. It's 6. It's 6. So it's Missouri money line, Ole Miss money line, USC money line, Ohio State money line. Here's where it gets shaky: West Virginia money line and Wake Forest money line. It's a little shaky on the end.
Hey, those last two. I mean, sometimes you got to ride with the fear, but those first 4, I love it.
Oh man, just the older I get in betting, the less I like parlaying games. Look, sometimes you got to ride with the fear. That's fine, but if it's me, I'd make some straight bets with those as well because I do like those bets. If anything, I would be weary about the Missouri. I'd probably go with the over in that game.
Appreciate it, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay.
Josh. Also,
Thank you guys.
Yep, it's Voltar. That's the Tar Heel. 8th strength of schedule in the country right now. North Carolina.
There we go.
For real.
It's impressive.
For real.
All right, let's go to Polk Texan over in Texas.
Here we go.
What's up, man?
I cracked the code, Jake. I'm here.
You did. You somehow did it. You spun the dreidel while fixing the Rubik's Cube. It's incredible.
I got a couple of things, guys. I've been trying to get in here since before the Red River shootout, but mainly because conference realignment has just pissed me off to no end. But I was born to 2 Aggies, so my blood runs maroon. Jimbo ain't the guy, and they need to figure it out before next year when Texas starts taking half the recruits we were getting. But I played baseball at Oklahoma State a quarter century ago, and now they've killed Bedlam, or it actually meaning anything.
One of the worst casualties. So hey, let me ask you this: Who right now? You're the AD, right? You're Ross. You open up the top drawer. Who are a couple names on that list to replace Jimbo?
Man, I don't know that there's actually a better replacement out there. I do. I'm just so irritated that he can't do more with what he's got. I'll tell you where it went wrong. As somebody who knows Texas high school football, I don't think he watched anything but a Haynes King highlight film before he brought that kid in.
Yeah, look, and you know, Haynes is obviously what they're doing at Georgia Tech. You know, it's been impressive. He's turned it around. He's changed his motion a little bit. But in that stamp in time, I just don't know how you watched Haynes King operate and throw like that and pick him over Max Johnson, regardless of if he's tougher than a $2 steak or, you know, whatever, you know, insert old cliche about tough quarterbacks that are
coaches do. Go look at Tennessee. I mean, how the hell is Joe Milton in front of Hendon Hooker? What are you looking at practice? You know, that's what even the best minds. I mean, it just like even if you go to Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley, I mean, you have Caleb Williams on the bench. I mean, you have to see this on a day. They see it every day.
In that one, like Caleb was a freshman and Spencer Rattler was a preseason Heisman.
Yeah, understandable, but still, you see this every day. I go back to more hype how you look at Hendon on the bench and think, let me go with Joe Milton and let me put you something on the Texas A&M. Look, I got 2 guys right now. You go get Mike Elko.
I think Mike's
would be a great fit. I think Urban Meyer would take the damn job.
You think Urban?
I think Urban Meyer would. You got the resources. You got the money. Texas A&M wants to win football games.
We know jobs that he absolutely would not take. He's not coaching at Michigan State. He's not coaching at Arkansas. I know the jobs he would take. Notre Dame, SC.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think A&M is beyond.
They want to win that.
A&M is one of those ones.
You know what? I respect it because it's not like Urban Meyer went and did a bunch of crazy stuff where he's like on the most wanted list on the FBI, like some people treat him.
He might take that job, man. He might
amount of money they would drop for
Texas
Urban Meyer
would be dangerous.
What? I mean, Kirby, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, just, oh, God.
And you could be the first guy. Think about it. Urban could be like the guy to do it.
That might be a job he takes.
God, that's the last thing Auburn needs. That's the last thing.
Let me ask you this, brother. Oklahoma, man, they look like an elite football team, very balanced, big win in the Red River Shootout. You were talking about Oklahoma State. What sort of fight do you think Oklahoma State can put up in Bedlam this year, being at home?
Well, I went to every home game at Boone Pickens for 4 years, and going in there is a game changer compared to if you were in Norman.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything good about OU. It's not in my. I can't do it.
I respect it. I mean, look, I think Oklahoma State have a whole hell of a lot better chance than against their rival than Michigan State's going to have this weekend.
Let's hope.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it looks like Oklahoma State's figured out a little bit now they stopped doing quarterback carousel. You know, there with Gundy.
This is the time where I feel like I need to offset this. You know, there's a whole lot of one-sided talk, and I need to offset that.
There's not the amount of Jack Sparrow voodoo.
I think it'll come down to a field goal at the end, last play.
If that happens, then I'm really worried about Michigan. Or I'm worried about like existential threats. Like I'm worried about this devil hornet comet or whatever that's coming.
Yeah, well, you should always be worried about that.
I'm always. But
that
Pokey.
Haunted mansions in Tennessee.
That's exactly right.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks, buddy. Glad you came through.
We got Magnus in North Carolina. Magnus, tell me something good on this Thursday, man.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
What's going on to you?
So, I was watching the Auburn game like usual.
I feel sorry about that.
I looked over, and it was 7:45 p.m., and my disappointment was immeasurable, and my day was ruined.
Yeah.
So my whole prediction for 17-13 was based off of Auburn actually playing defense. So I was wrong.
Yeah, Auburn didn't play much of anything against LSU. I'll say, but you know, if you watch Grant and Company, we tried to tell you,
me.
not me. Yeah, Blaine shot for the, went for the moon, and it was
it wasn't even a moonshot in my opinion. Like
it was a moonshot in my opinion.
We've been close for the last 7 years. I mean, except for 1 year.
Yeah.
It's just, it's to the point now, and I can't remember this. There's a TikTok going around about like an old European like sailor. He just gets to a country that plays the music, and you just get to a point that you realize as a fan, like there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say what you want. Auburn's just a bad football team. They're just bad. All right. You're not great at a lot of things. I just watch Jalen Simpson play. That's all I do. I don't pay attention to any other player at all. I just watch Jalen Simpson play. It's going to be a rough year, man. It's never good when you walk in and you don't feel great about beating Vanderbilt.
Yep. So I was checking the injury report on Simpson right before the game to see whether or not he was actually playing, whether or not how badly we're going to lose or not. So,
well, look, there's hope coming. I can promise you that. You've got to get through this. The times like these make the great times even greater. As some coaches would say, maybe you need a couple of losses. The bandwagon's a little.
I don't think the defense played terrible against LSU. They got certain stops when they needed stops, but I mean the offense couldn't get a first down. So
you gave up 17 points.
Not a lot of
7 minutes.
No one stopped that offense.
No.
Except Florida State week 1.
It's the best offense in the country.
Best offense in the country.
Yeah.
So I think you knew the defense wasn't going to be elite, especially against offense like that. But you got key stops and key moments in the first half. Your offense is just absolute dog water.
Appreciate it, Magnus.
Thanks, Magnus.
Talk to you next week, brother.
Thank y'all.
All right, let's go to Evan, a.k.a. the Constitution, calling in from Colorado Springs. What's up, Evan?
Springs.
So I wanted to provide a little statistical context for my question, if that's all right.
Yeah, let's get statisticular.
So
let's don't.
Yeah, let's not.
That would sound great.
In the Pittman era, Pittman is 5-13 in one-score games. He's 2-8 in the last 2 years, and he's 0-4 this year. And these one-score losses aren't necessarily to, teams that we should beat. I mean, this year alone, at Death Valley, at Vaughton Hemingway, at Bryant-Denny, all one-score losses. So my question is this a sign that things can be turned around, or is this pretty statistically common with mid coaches?
Well, I mean, the coaches that struggle can't struggle to win the close games, right? That's the difference. You're going to have more close games, especially in this league, than you're going to have blowouts either way. I'll say this, though, coming into this year, I mean, if not now, not this year for Sam Pittman, Arkansas will win. The SEC, nobody returns a quarterback, really. Bama's having to replace one. This is one of the most mortal teams, I think we can agree that they've had. We know LSU's really good on offense. They're bad defensively. Georgia had to replace a lot. Florida's got a new coach, right? Auburn's got a new coach. Mississippi State's down. Ole Miss is pretty high level under Lane Kiffin. I'll give you that. But A&M's the same old A&M. You return KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. Like this, to me, this was the year, right? I mean, if not now, next year when you have to replace, what you have now, your advantage going into next year. What is the offensive line suddenly finally going to be good under Sam Pittman? Right? I think the defense is kind of punching above their weight. But how long is that gonna last? I mean, at some point you listed the numbers. 5-13 is 5-13. 2-8 is 2-8. 0-4 this year in a year where you should have the advantage. Yeah. Right? Like if not now, when? I mean, it's at some point, you can only be the bridesmaid so many times. The new car smell is worn off. Right? It's year 4. Like there needs to be results. So I mean,
absolutely.
At this point, I mean, you can sit here and hope that it can turn around. Who the hell knows? Maybe it will. Maybe you'll catch a couple breaks. But, I mean, at this point, I think Arkansas is who they're going to be under Sam Pittman.
Well, and I think, going into this year, I think I saw a number the other day that Arkansas had the number 1 toughest schedule in the NCAA. And the hope was you could springboard a 8 to 9 win year into next year where I think we miss Alabama, miss Georgia, we have Tennessee at home, and it's a very winnable schedule to where you could turn an 8 or 9 win season into 10, potentially 11 if you're doing well, but that's just not there.
Yeah, well, who's playing quarterback? Like you're gonna have to replace what has been your best trick. So now you're in a year where you should have the advantage. Yeah, the schedule's tough. Looking at it right now, Arkansas is the 10th overall, toughest strength of schedule, right? But, you should have the advantage this year. So now it's we'll wait till the schedule's easier, but we're going to have to replace our best parts. It's just that the math's not adding up for Arkansas right now, which I think you agree with, Evan. I think you agree with me.
That's 100% right. I'm disappointed in the fact that this season seems to be a lost cause where it should have been a springboard into a potentially great 2024.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where we go, from here. And just a little side note, if, my shot in the dark, no name, or this name hasn't been tossed around at all, and I don't think it would actually happen.
Barry Odom?
But Gary Patterson.
Oh, wow.
Coming into Arkansas, defensive mind, and knows how to coach at a smaller school and knows the state of Texas very well. And the two things you have to do in the state of Arkansas to have a successful program is you have to lock down the state of Arkansas, and you have to be able to reach into Texas and take a lot of the 3 stars, some of the 4 stars, and nab maybe 1 5-star out of the state of Texas. And there's nothing that Gary Patterson has done except for steal Texas recruits while he was in the state of Texas.
Well, I mean, look, he's a Slytherin grad. We know that. Just watch his antics on the sideline. But I tell you what, I know Sam Pittman, the buyout goes down after this year. But if they lose to Mississippi State, I don't know at home this week. But Evan, we'll see. We'll keep monitoring it, man. I think you make some great points.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go to Chris in Michigan. Chris, what's going on?
Michigan.
All right, David, I know you wanted some offsetting, but that is not going to happen with me.
Okay.
Pump it up. Pump it up.
Gas them up, Chris.
It is hate state week, all right, and the hate is full.
Yes, it is.
Hate.
But listen, so I've seen it. David's seen it. We've all seen it. Michigan State somehow finds a way when they shouldn't. So I know Blaine's talking about how, Michigan lets the other team get a little bit of hope in the beginning and then they crush them. I don't want State to have any hope at all. I want Michigan to defer and then blitz on the very first play. I want Minnesota, I want a pick 6 on the first drive. That's what I want to see, because if there's any team who plays Michigan that can thrive off of hope, it's Michigan State.
That's very true. That's true. And look, it didn't work with the Braves. We did our best not to jinx the Braves all season.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I don't think Michigan needs to blitz.
Oh, yeah, just rush 4?
I think Michigan ought to be like, how little can we rush and get there?
We're going to send one guy.
Yeah, let's send one guy at 5 and see if he can get there.
Chris, I hope you're right, man. I got Paul Bunyan right here.
I know, yeah, I really do too. And I mean, it's just I don't know how the new, I think is Hauser QB. So I think Kim isn't playing. I don't really know how he is. I didn't really get to see him play. I don't really know if he's going to be a difference maker. But yeah, I'm really hoping for an absolute beatdown. I'm not going to be happy though until the clock is at 0 and Michigan is walking
Even
away
then,
with
remember
Paul
they beat
Bunyan.
us a couple of years ago? They didn't lead for the entire game. They scored the touchdown on the punt block after the clock.
Yeah, I thought like 80% of the Michigan fan base got neuralized after that by like the Men in Black.
I remember.
I do want to say, you know what Michigan's like?
I will never forget.
You know what Michigan's like right now? And in the way they let people like have a little hope early. They're like that supermodel that even when just average guys go up, she'll listen to you for like 2 or 3 minutes.
She texts you back one time?
And give you a little bit of hope. Like, hey, maybe there's a chance. And then instantly she's like, oh, sorry, Derek Jeter just called me. Like, that's who Michigan is right now.
So she texts you back the first time, but then it's
No, not text. She like entertains your presence for a minute.
Look, this isn't you can't jinx a game like this.
Yeah.
All right. that stuff's out the window. All right. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a bloodletting. All right. Michigan is going to roll, kill, destroy, murder, whatever word you want to come up with. All right. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close early. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan's up 24 at halftime.
There you go, Chris. Hate.
One of my favorite things that I saw. I think one of the players got asked if they think about the tunnel incident that happened at all last year, and he was like, "Oh no, it's not really in the back of our minds." And I'm pretty sure they have that video playing in the locker room every morning this week.
Oh, dude!
I know, like you can't watch one of your players get ganged up by a whole team, and you're not thinking about it the next year.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a bloodletting.
Appreciate it, Chris. Go blue, buddy.
One last thing about the haunted house thing. I actually did hit up a haunted house in Vegas a couple years ago where I had to sign a waiver, and they were allowed to electrocute you and grab you, and it was pretty crazy. So.
Typically, you got to pay double for that.
It's fun. It's fun after, during it's not too much fun.
Yeah, I'd be afraid I'd hit somebody.
Congrats on being alive.
No, that's the thing about it. Like, did you sign a waiver?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah, because I'm putting my hands.
I brought this tire iron in.
I'm hiding above the door with all fours. You pop down, boom, door shut. Who's in charge now?
Yeah, it's a dragon. And I'm playing.
Where did you get a chainsaw from, Blaine? Don't worry about it. I played it a while ago. I'll play the long game.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. All right, I want to try and get to 2 more callers here. So let's go to John in Mobile, Alabama. John, you got 60 seconds here, buddy.
Hey, good morning, boys. It's my first call, but
Let's get this.
Welcome home.
Let's go.
Welcome home.
Pleasure.
Thanks for calling, brother.
It's a pleasure to be speaking to the most elite trio in sports media.
Appreciate that, man. We're like when you get that trio from Bar Taco, right?
You can tell
the green sauce is hitting.
Dude, he's calling
dark sauce.
He's calling from Bluegill.
Well spoken, probably a great looking guy.
I'd take some
Bluegill
tuna
right
dip.
now.
It's like 8 a.m. I just pour tuna dip all over.
Oysters on the half shell.
Pour it all over me. I'll jump in the water.
That's all we eat.
No,
but hey, listen. I got to ask you, a lot of the talk off season and all the way up until basically the last week surrounding my Georgia Bulldogs was about how weak their schedule is. And now everyone sees Brock Bowers go down. They're asking, what's the most vulnerable spot for them? So I just want to ask, do you guys think that Georgia's schedule is actually tougher than a lot of people made it out to be earlier on? Or is Georgia really the kind of program that can get derailed over the loss of one player? Granted, Brock Bowers is an alien, and we all know that. But what's the right answer there?
It's John. First off, it's a great question. I never use the term easy. There's not a team in the SEC that has an easy schedule. You have lighter and heavier schedules, and you're seeing that now, right? All of a sudden, because teams are better than people think before the year. Some teams are worse, right? It ebbs and flows. So you really don't know how tough the schedule is going to be until the season starts. That Missouri game looks a whole hell of a lot more difficult right now than it did before the game. Florida looks a whole hell of a lot more difficult right than it did. Now, does Georgia have the toughest schedule, the heaviest schedule? No. But when it comes to being battle tested, I think they will be battle tested. I think the schedule is heavy enough to be battle tested. Now, when it comes down to Brock Bowers, is Georgia enough to get derailed as a program by losing one player? No. There is not 3 or 4 players they could lose that would derail the program and where it's headed right now. With this team and with this season, it is a huge hit to lose Brock Bowers. But, John, it's a huge hit for any team to lose their best player. It just so happens that Georgia's in a year where they kicked everybody else's ass so bad the past couple of years that they're not dominating everybody like usual, and they just lost their best player while they're developing. So, can it hurt this season? Yes, obviously. You lose Weapon X, it's going to hurt. But is this going to derail anything that Georgia has going? Is Georgia suddenly going to fall back to where they were and not winning one since 1980 or being able to get there? No. Kirby's got this thing built up to the point where, yeah, losing Brock Bowers, it's tough. And he may come back at the end of the year, and we'll see. But Georgia's got a very talented roster. If they play well, they can still run with just about anybody. So the term derail ought to not even be in the dictionary or thesaurus or whatever of Georgia fans right now.
Yeah, for sure. But, John, here's why things got more. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something about Missouri. First of all, Blaine, you said moments ago, Missouri always plays Georgia close, and you need to call Marty McFly and get yourself a sports almanac, because if you look back for the last 6 seasons, they've outscored them by something like 120 points, and that's no lie.
Yeah. So last year was an anomaly.
About Missouri always talking about playing Georgia close. That last year was the anomaly. And
that's Kentucky, isn't it?
This year, and I'll also tell you, with Florida, I wouldn't want to be Florida, because I feel like Georgia is going to put up a 50-burger on them and beat them by 30 points just to prove a point to the rest of the nation. I wouldn't want to be Florida in 2 weeks. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll say, John, I'll say this. Kirby's not having to find a way to manipulate motivational speeches or put a chip on the shoulder of any Georgia player this year, especially now that Brock's out. But that's a great comment. I think Blaine was probably thinking of Kentucky. That's who typically plays Georgia at least a little bit tighter than what people think, at least for what Kentucky has been.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm telling you, this ain't the same Missouri team, buddy.
Hey,
walk in doubting them.
If something happens, I'll call back and eat crow. It's a pleasure speaking to you guys.
John, we appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, John. We appreciate it. All right, let's go to Tom quickly in Nashville. Last caller today. You got 30 seconds, Tom. How's it going?
10-second time.
What's up, gentlemen?
What is up?
How you doing, man?
So this is Kirk Huggins. I know I only got 30 seconds.
Yeah, Kirk Huggins. We got you here, bud.
There he is.
I'm going to be as fast as I possibly can be. So lifelong Vikings and Penn State fan. So I've been on antidepressants since I was a baby.
That's a cocktail of disaster.
Absolute cocktail disaster for sure. So just going to say you're all right to absolutely have the doubt that you have. What you said yesterday was correct. I'm all for all of it. We're going to see on Saturday for sure. The only thing I will say about Drew is if you look, he has taken some shots downfield, and every time he misses by about a step or two those receivers, which is, I think, a pretty good sign for this brand new quarterback that hasn't done one interception.
Yep.
And if you look at him, it doesn't look like he panics in the pocket. So, we're away, which sucks. But at the end of the day, as a lifelong fan, I'll say this is the best Penn State team I've seen going to play the worst Ohio State team I've seen in a while. So my hope is a little bit up, but I've also been hurt my whole life. So
yeah, well, it's when you're dead inside, it just hurts less. Look, if I'm Penn State, I want everybody picking Ohio State, obviously, right? You want that. Drew Aller, he's an NFL quarterback. He's an NFL player. I think y'all got to have some other receivers step up, though, man. Cephas. I thought Cephas going to Penn State, I was like, this is about to be a problem. I watched this man play for 2 years in a row, but it seems like it's just Keandre, the 2 tight ends. You get a little bit of auxiliary help every now and then, but I think Ohio State can stop the run. But the legend of Drew Aller, if it's going to start getting built, it's going to start getting built off this game.
You're absolutely right. I will say, so I think Cephas is probably upset because he saw all the signs that we used to put up where we said can't read, because, it's Kent State. So he probably was just upset about that coming over. But Trey Wallace, number 6, is a really good receiver that was hurt. It just came back. I don't know if he had any catches in that last game, but I would watch out for him. And those tight ends are absolute killers.
For sure. I love Theo. I think Theo's a hell of a... I mean, they both are, if we're going to be honest. But, Tom, thanks so much, man.
Kirk Huggins. Tom. Drew Aller, 2 interceptions, buddy. put it in stone. No one's got to that man yet. Ohio State's gonna get to him.
Well, I mean, Penn State's been able to protect
we used to call it "Give me those nuggies."
I'm going to tell you.
Ohio State's gonna get them nuggies.
I'm going to tell you where Drew's sneaky though. He's sneaky outside the pocket. Like he's not some just goofy ass.
No, he's a good player, but I mean, they haven't played anybody.
He can move. All right, here's what we got tonight. As I choke to death. Give me the Saints. -1 at home. They come marching in against the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, is he playing? Is he not playing?
No, there's a reason I have no bets up there.
We'll see. And then I'm going to put out 3 college football bets today. Make sure you're following me on social. This actually is not going to be one of the 3 that I put out, but I do like this one. James Madison money line, Tulsa money line. Together parlay that. That's plus 154. Make sure you check my social. Going to put out 3 different college football bets tonight.
James Madison Marshall over 49.5 -110. And then I've been hitting a lot of NFL unders, but something in the Saints Jags, I want to take the over. Hope Trevor Lawrence plays obviously for this, but even if he doesn't, I'm going to take the Saints Jags over at 40.5 -106.
All right, I'm not betting until I found out if Trevor Lawrence is betting because I'm doing both my bets on the NFL game tonight. So beautiful, I can get right to the chat and hit these donations.
Let me get Ace Cone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Rice plus 3 tonight, -108, and then Olave anytime touchdown plus 185.
All right, let's go to Coffee Guy with a $20 donation. He says, Boomer Sooner, baby. Big one against UCF this weekend. We'll see. Let's go to Ride Highs with a $5 donation. Top of the morning to you, fellas. Give me your top 3 snack crackers of all time. Go Ducks. Quack, quack, quack.
Snack crackers?
Snack crackers.
Ooh, let's think about this. Let's tell them tomorrow.
Snack crackers.
Yeah.
Top 3 snack crackers.
Yeah, cold open tomorrow.
I like that.
All right, let's go to NCAA Nation 247. Nation, $5 donation.
Nation.
My betting formula loves USC -6.5,
Yes.
Miami +4, Indiana +5 versus Rutgers this week. And by the way, Blame My Formula also likes Auburn +7. What formula you got, dog?
Look, I'm loving that it's loving USC. I'm loving this. Now I just got to see Tyler Van Dyke. You know, it says he's a little bit beat up, lower body. But, I mean, he doesn't need to move and run around anyway. Can you stand in there and throw it? That's what you do.
All right, let's go to Ryan Gay, $10 donation. Not only is the Phil's bats hot, starting pitching shoving with 1.55 ERA and 4 walks this postseason. Also, Phillies have the best home field advantage in MLB. Punt or go?
I mean, I'm gonna say punt. I'm not gonna say the best in Major League Baseball. How many times y'all gonna get to a championship game in a sport and lose it?
Astros big win yesterday, game 3, 8-5. Knocked Scherzer up a little bit.
Yep, that's
Scherzer's pregnant. It's crazy. Let's go to Brian Hardhead with a $5 donation. Harson Hardhead. I see that profile picture. But I hope you didn't see the person's face that was gagging you. It definitely wasn't me. I'm going to keep that confidence, dude.
Oh, man. Right, people don't forget.
I was going to Chris Walton, $5 donation. Been saying it for years. Max is mid in the playoffs, and Strauss isn't there to pick up the slack. We had to pitch behind him. Peep the stats. Chris, we believe you. Let's go to Pokey Texan, $5 donation. Went to game 3. Loved how the younger millennials and Gen Z playoff watchers don't know the Astros-Rangers rivalry started yesterday.
They don't know anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look.
What do they know?
That will be all the donations today. Let's get to the poll.
Poll?
All right, is Dabo Swinney a crybaby?
I'm going to say they said yes, 61%.
No, 51%.
Yes, 75%.
Wow.
Quickly, Chase Mills, $10 donation. Nick Anderson will break into the national scene this week. Caught the game winner, the Triple R, and no more Andrell Anthony will give him all the opportunities.
Yeah.
Boomer Sooner. Great job today, chat.
He caught the game winner that we broke down.
Yeah, that's right.
The corner route against Texas.
Love the huddle ups. All right, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go grab some merch. Go check out the great stuff from Genucel and Good Ranchers. Use that promo code BOOSTER. Got a great show for you tomorrow. Got a great Saturday show as well, which we actually drop on Friday afternoon. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure you keep sharing the show. Y'all are the best. And like the chances of the Rangers sweeping the Astros now, we're going.
Damn, blew it.
Gone, I guess.